Thunderstorms are finally beginning to wind down across the area. Straight ahead, we'll talk about the possibility of more storms coming from a different direction.
We had some pretty strong winds through here.
Frightening moments in Rockcastle County today because of a severe storm. Both homes and cars were damaged.
Shoppers ran for cover at a Lawrence County Walmart when a storm damaged the building and tents in the parking lot. We'll hear from some people who were there.
WKYT News starts now with First Alert Weather.
Good evening. Some rough weather across the Bluegrass on this Independence Day. Severe storms causing a lot of damage as they moved across the state.
Trees fell in many counties this afternoon, even damaging some homes. And in northeastern Kentucky, a storm damaged a Walmart in Lawrence County. We'll have much more on all that storm damage in just a moment, but we begin tonight with Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey on this WKYT First Alert Severe Weather Day.
Yeah, a lot of the severe weather, guys, obviously has calmed down this evening tremendously, but we're still watching southern and southeastern parts of the area for the possibility of additional rounds of thunderstorms that can put down some very heavy rains overnight into early tomorrow. Defender Radar Network for the majority of the area has been in okay shape for fireworks displays that have been ongoing this evening. Though southern Kentucky, those thunder showers beginning to ramp back up a little bit. Parts of Leslie County into Harlan County toward the west into Barberville into sections of Knox County. That extends a little farther to the west where we get into a little more scattered action. But this stuff has just developed over the past 30 minutes or so from Somerset toward the Lake Cumberland area. Then look at what we are watching south of Bowling Green toward Nashville. Notice how those thunderstorms, this is a 2-hour loop, go from basically nothing to all of a sudden now a lot of thunder and lightning and shifting on toward the north and northeast. And for that reason, southern half of the area is still under a flash flood watch as we head into the rest of the overnight. And here's why. Look at the future hour-by-hour radar with those showers and storms that really ramp back up across parts of southern Kentucky coming at us in waves. So that flash flood threat, the farther south that we go, is still there heading into the overnight. Now, coming up here in just a few minutes, we've got a new hour-by-hour forecast in that will take us deeper into the week, and I'll show you how thunderstorms, instead of coming at us from west to east, guys, we're going to have to watch the northwestern sky. That's right, more storms are on the way. We'll break it down in a few.
All right, Chris, thank you. Tonight, emergency managers tell us some homes and cars were damaged when a severe storm moved through Rockcastle County late this afternoon.
Most of that damage is in the Broadhead area, and people living there say they'll have a mess to clean up in the coming days. Our Phil Pendleton continues tonight our First Alert Weather Team coverage from Rockcastle County.
Well, I see it just picked it straight up and set her down over here.
Steve Lunsford says his car was nearly paid off. Now it might be a total loss, but winds damaged a lot more than just his 4-door passenger car.
And took that truck and turned it up, straight up and down, and then it just wiped out my porch posts one by one.
The storm came through just after 4 o'clock, and Lunsford watched most of it out his kitchen window.
And I seen my sawhorses, and they just took off, and I screamed for my kids and my family, get to the bathroom, and as it come through the living room, all the posts was going one by one.
Tree limbs were down in various places, and one limb crashed completely through a car's windows.
And then my poor old neighbor's car there, he got right through the windshield with a limb, and it come from my tree.
No one was hurt, but homeowners have a lot of cleaning up to do.
No injuries. No injuries. It got damage to approximately 7 homes.
Over here is where it probably most likely took the blunt of the drop.
The National Weather Service will be out Tuesday to see if a tornado or straight-line winds caused the damage. In Rockcastle County, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
In Lawrence County, a severe storm causing extensive damage around a Walmart, which was packed with shoppers at the time. It happened this afternoon at the Walmart in Louisa. The store was forced to close after the storm. New tonight, Monique Blair talked to some people who were inside the store during the storm.
On what would be one of their busiest days of the year, the TNT fireworks store now is just debris. It's just a complete loss. You can see all of these fireworks are now completely ruined. And if you come over here, you can see the Walmart parking lot looks fairly cleaned up now, but a closer look will show that there does appear to be pretty significant damage to the roof. And on top of all of this, I talked to several people who were out here when this storm passed through, and they told me more than anything, it was just a very scary couple of moments. Brandon Lincoln says Monday afternoon he was watching as the rain came to a stop and then the strong winds came.
Literally looked like a funnel in the sky there. It was coming over that mountain. It was filled. I mean, you could see it coming down.
Lincoln manages this TNT fireworks tent here in Louisa. He says the wind overturned cars in the parking lot and people frantically tried to find shelter.
Well, people were running into Walmart. People were like sprinting. Everybody in the parking lot, everybody just sitting in their vehicles were running there.
Matt Lovely was also in the Walmart parking lot during the storm with his wife, who is 25 weeks pregnant.
We was trying to get out to go in Walmart for safety, and it picked it up maybe a couple inches, you know, but it slammed it back down. And
Lovely and his wife are okay, and they were finally able to get inside Walmart.
it's demolished the whole inside. It tore some of the roof off.
The damage outside was evident too. Street signs in the parking lot, shattered glass on the ground, as well as trees toppled over, and thousands of dollars worth of destroyed fireworks.
You can make more money and you can replace damaged items, but I mean, just you can't replace us.
Now, the National Weather Service will likely be out here on Tuesday to determine if this damage was caused by straight line winds or by a tornado. In Louisa, Monique Blair, WKYT.
Amazingly, Walmart managers say there were no reports of major injuries. They say the store will be closed until repairs can be made and a structural engineer can look at that building. Strong winds brought down many trees on the west side of Lexington this afternoon, and more than 1,000 people were without power for hours.
Most of that damage was in the Mason-Headley Road area. Some of the trees fell across roads while a few fell on homes. Mark Hickson says he was inside his home this afternoon when a tree fell on it.
We were sitting there watching TV, and that big gust of wind, whatever it was, came through and heard the tree crash and went through the house.
No injuries were reported in Lexington today because of storms. At last check, about 300 people in Fayette County were still without power. That storm moved through Lexington in the middle of the city's 4th of July festival downtown. People there ran for shelter as strong winds, lightning, and heavy rain blew through. Some of the vendors' tents were flattened by the winds.
Everything was good, and all of a sudden the rain came and changed a lot of things.
We had a big gust of wind, and it just took the tent.
Blew everything down.
Some of the vendors packed up and went home after the storm, but others stayed. The festival continued once the storms passed. Remember, you can track storms when you're away from the TV with the WKYT Weather Plus Traffic app. You can download it for free in the app or Google Play stores.
New tonight, Lexington police are looking for a man they say stabbed someone during an attempted robbery. It happened just before 6 tonight on Southview Drive near Southland Drive. Police say the victim was driving and noticed a man on the side of the road next to a blue car with its flashers on. They say the victim stopped and offered to help the man, who asked for spare change. As the victim started to get some change out of his car, police say the man stabbed him in the arm and tried to grab his wallet. They say the victim got back into his car and took off without the man getting anything. The victim has non-life-threatening injuries. Police do not have a detailed description of the attacker. New tonight, 2 hikers had to be rescued in Clark County after falling down a 50-foot cliff near the Kentucky River. The hikers were stuck for hours today, not far from Highway 627. Emergency crews from multiple counties were called in to rescue the man and woman. They had to work through rough terrain and steep hills to reach them. Both hikers were brought out by 4-wheel drive vehicles and loaded onto ambulances. The Clark County Fire Chief says it took a lot of work to rescue the pair.
They was in a really rough area as far as terrain goes, and we had to find the best way to get them out, using rope systems, using a lot of manpower as far as hauling them, hooking them to the rope system and being able to haul them up steep cliffs.
The two hikers were taken to the hospital. We do not know their conditions tonight.
The storms moved out in plenty of time for Lexington's fireworks display tonight. People gathered in the parking lots outside Commonwealth Stadium to watch the show about an hour ago. This is the first year the fireworks display was launched from the nearby UK Arboretum. For years, it was held in downtown Lexington, but was moved this year. Lexington city leaders even went as far as testing out the site a month ago to make sure the fireworks could be seen from as many parts of Lexington as possible. Some cities around Kentucky, including Paris, Frankfurt, and Brussels, postponed their fireworks displays tonight because of weather. We have a list of when those have been rescheduled on WKYT.com. Fireworks also lit up the sky over much of the country tonight. In Washington, D.C., a big crowd gathered for a big fireworks display over the National Mall. The celebration also included the Capitol 4th concert. And in New York City, millions of people gathered to watch the annual Macy's fireworks show along the East River. The fireworks capped off a day of celebrations all around the country.
Tonight, the investigation continues into one of the worst terror attacks in Iraq in more than a decade, who is now claiming responsibility in 9 minutes.
And then some people ended up being injured in southern Kentucky when a fireworks display went wrong.
A very busy 4th of July across central and eastern Kentucky. Damage reports continuing to come in. A lot of trees down. You were seeing the video we've had out of Rockcastle County, out of Lawrence County, out of Lexington, Fayette County, Anderson County with some wind damage. What you're looking at here are storm reports for the entire day. And each little icon that you see sometimes can represent multiple reports. And that's what we are seeing with a couple of wind damage lines in the central Kentucky bluegrass region and then across parts of southern Kentucky. Even a funnel cloud that was reported out of parts of Taylor County. Did we get an actual tornado Lawrence County? Maybe Broadhead? Weather Service will have to make that determination whether it was straight line winds that caused the damage or if we had at least a little bit of a spin up. That will likely come over the next few days, I would imagine. Defender Radar Network late on this 4th of July. At least we briefly ended the rain across the area in time for fireworks for many of us, not all. Southern Kentucky looking in your direction because guess what? You've got more rain that is gearing up into this area that has picked up quite a bit so far on the day. Let's face it, we've all picked up quite a bit of rain over the past couple of days. Rather scattered, London, Corbin, Williamsburg, back into Somerset, though we put everything in motion. We watched toward Nashville, Tennessee. Showers and storms south of Bowling Green toward the Nashville area are rolling their way toward the east and beginning to increase just a bit. And that's likely a trend that will carry us through tonight into tomorrow morning. What about for the rest of the bluegrass state? Still some action from Indy to the northwest of Owensboro. That'll wander across our skyline into the day tomorrow. So the rainfall since Saturday, impressive. Amounts to farther west that we go greater than 6 inches of rain. Much of central Kentucky, 1 to 3 inches, some pockets of 4, 5 inches, a couple of 4-inch amounts here into parts of southern Kentucky as well. Now that's so far, and we've got some more to go through as we head into the next few days. Southern Kentucky with those rounds of thunderstorms taking aim at you again tonight. Flash flood watch continues for southern and eastern parts of the region. So what are we looking at? Tomorrow, still some storms around, heaviest across the south and the east. Should not be as widespread as what we had today. Rounds of storms then kick back into high gear, but instead of watching the western sky Wednesday into Thursday, this stuff may dive in from northwest to southeast, and it may be a corridor of storms that even tries to fire up into parts of Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, and then turn the corner on the cusp of some very hot air to our west. That'll set up shop across central and eastern Kentucky. That new hour-by-hour forecast still showing the potential tomorrow for some scattered storms, especially southern Kentucky. And this model has been insisting that we fire up one little thunderstorm complex tomorrow evening across parts of central Kentucky. Now we go into the day on Wednesday. Notice how we still have some green showing up, and the action is coming in from northwest to southeast, and that's a trend that may amp it up a notch or two as we go into Thursday with thunderstorm clusters that again dive in from the northwest, and the ground is so saturated across most of our region that it may not take a whole lot more to create some at least local high water issues. And it's also a pattern that if you get in between storms, your thermometer can hit 90 on any given day starting Wednesday into the start of the weekend before another front gets in here with, stop me if you've heard this one before, some scattered thunderstorms.
It was very sporadic today, all that different damage in different places all over.
The wind, the big calling card to go along with the heavy rains today. I suspect we may try to get in another similar scenario before the week is over.
At least it's calm now.
That it is.
Thank you, Chris.
A 4th of July surprise for Rockcastle County family that began their day with an unusual sight outside their home. That's in 8 minutes. Tonight, the Islamic State is claiming responsibility for an attack in Iraq that killed more than 200 people.
As Charlie D'Agata tells us, yesterday's attack in Baghdad is the worst attack Iraq has seen in more than a decade.
Even in a country awash in bloodshed, this was bad. The ISIS suicide bomber knew just where and when to strike to kill as many civilians as possible. The holy month of Ramadan ends this week, and cafes and shops along the boulevard were packed full of families enjoying the cool of the night after fasting through the long, hot day when the car bomb went off. Even as they carried more body bags away from the rubble and wreckage, it was already clear that this was the worst single terror attack to hit the capital in years. I swear to God, the government is a failure, this woman says. They are the ones who brought terrorism here. The attack came only about a week after Iraqi government forces completely recaptured the nearby city of Fallujah in a fierce battle that lasted for weeks. As they hold vigils for victims in Iraq, there are many questions, but one dead certainty, that another ISIS attack will come. With public anger mounting, the Iraqi Justice Ministry announced that 5 convicted terrorists were executed this morning. Officials said they wanted bereaved families to know that they're continuing to deliver punishment to those whose hands are stained with Iraqi blood. Charlie D'Agata, CBS News, London.
Investigators say a terror attack tonight in neighboring Saudi Arabia killed 4 security officers near an Islamic holy site. They're blaming a suicide bomber.
New tonight, a man wanted in 2 southern Kentucky counties has been arrested. The Whitley County Sheriff's Office says after receiving a tip, deputies found 30-year-old Kevin Malone today at a home on Sutton Mill Road. Deputies say they found him hiding under a bed. Investigators say Malone had a warrant out of Knox County on burglary and violating an emergency protection order. And they say in Whitley County he was wanted for drug charges.
Investigators say 4 people suffered injuries when a fireworks display in Rockcastle County went wrong. It happened last night at the annual Blast in the Valley show at Renfro Valley. Organizers say one of the fireworks shot off in a tube, knocking some other fireworks down toward the ground. Those fireworks then shot off towards the crowd. People who saw it described a frightening scene.
It's unfortunate. I mean, it's just a freak thing that happens, and you know, I guess it happens to other people. It just didn't ever happen to us yet.
Investigators say none of the injuries were serious. Organizers say a Tennessee-based company put on the fireworks show. They say the fire marshal will be at the fireworks launch site tomorrow to investigate.
A Rockcastle County family receiving quite a surprise this morning when a bear showed up outside their home. The Smith family says they saw the bear from their windows, so they walked outside and decided to take some pictures of it from a safe distance.
I can see it from my kitchen window, and I went to look at it, and I seen that it was, all my trash was everywhere, and I looked up and there was a bear in my woods eating my trash.
Well, the family says the bear stayed around their home for about a half an hour before it went back into the woods. Other people around Mount Vernon also say they saw the bear as well. Bears have also been sighted in Pulaski, Boyle, Clay, and Whitley counties the last few weeks. So look out. They're around.
It is that time of year, it seems like. Lee Kay is in next now with sports, and there is good news tonight for Tyler Eulis.
There is. You know, Tyler dropped into the second round, but the Suns plan to pay him like he's a first rounder. And it was a busy day for former Wildcats in the NBA Summer League. Lace up those sneakers. Sports is next. Many NBA players spent Independence Day relocating around the country, none more notable than Kevin Durant. Today, he made it known that he's joining the Golden State Warriors. Durant is expected to sign a 2-year, $54.3 million contract that would include a player option after the first year. The 2014 MVP and 4-time scoring champion led the Oklahoma City Thunder to the NBA Finals in 2012 and to the Western Conference Finals in 4 of the past 6 years. Despite dropping into the second round of the NBA draft, Tyler Eulis is reportedly receiving a first-round contract. According to Paul Cora of the Arizona Republic, the Suns will give Eulis the equivalent of a late first-round picks contract, which would start at about $1 million and have the same 2 guaranteed years with 2 team option years. The Suns could make Eulis their third point guard behind Eric Bledsoe and Brandon Knight. While many of you took the day off work, several former Kentucky Wildcats were hard at work on this holiday trying to make a jump into the NBA. Both Aaron Harrison and Dakari Johnson played well on Sunday in the NBA Summer League for their respective teams. And today, Harrison and Johnson were playing against one another in the Hornets-Thunder game. Second quarter, Harrison on the receiving end of the lob. to give Charlotte a 12-point lead. Just before the half, Dakari running the floor, finishing with 2 hands. Johnson finished with 12 points. Then with time winding down in the fourth quarter, Hornets up by 3. Aaron delivers the dagger. The fadeaway jumper is good. A team-high 19 points for Aaron in the Hornets' 78-74 win. Ben Simmons making his NBA debut in the first game of the Utah Summer League. Sixers taking on the Celtics. Simmons with the easy finish on the run out here. He had 10 points, but he would leave the game with cramps. 2-point game in the fourth quarter. James Young driving, elevating, scoring. The former Cat had 8 points, 6 rebounds, and a new hairstyle. Celtics win 102-94. Trey Lyles and the Utah Jazz opening the Summer League against the Spurs. You know, a lot is expected of Lyles next season, and he looks to be ready to perform. Lyles was 3 for 3 from long distance to start the game. He had 11 of the Jazz's first 13 points. Jazz even plan to use him as a point forward some this next year. Lyles finished with 13 points and 12 rebounds, but the Spurs win 90-69. The U.S. Women's Open tees off later this week, and UK's Anna Hack will be one of only 24 amateurs in the field. Hack, who just completed her freshman season at UK, secured one of 2 spots from the St. Louis sectional last month. The Paducah native is the niece of former UK quarterback Billy Jack Haskins. She's looking forward to representing Kentucky.
Well, my uncle played football at UK, so I always wanted to just play for my state because I feel like it means a lot more to me to be able to play for the state that I grew up in.
We wish her the best. Meanwhile, Lexington's 4th of July celebration began this morning with the annual Bluegrass 10,000. More than 2,800 runners took the streets to downtown Lexington trying to negotiate the 6.2-mile course that winds out Richmond Road before finishing at Main and Limestone. Antonio Marchi is the men's winner. Marchi wins the 3rd Bluegrass 10K in 4 years, going wire to wire. And on the women's side, former Bradley runner Caitlin Bush wins the Bluegrass 10,000 in just a few ticks over 36 minutes. That makes me feel really lazy with what I did on my 4th of July morning. That'll do it for sports. We're back with more after this.